Imagine a bustling, cosmopolitan metropolis from the 14th century, a place so incredibly vibrant and wealthy it rivaled the greatest cities of the medieval world. And then it just vanished. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're traveling back in time to South India to uncover the amazing historical and archaeological adventure of the Vijayanagara Empire, famously known as the City of Victory. We're talking immense wealth, absolutely breathtaking architecture, and a devastating collapse that left this once massive superpower completely silent.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a pretty massive mystery. How does an empire the size of Rome just disappear? It's kind of hard to fathom, right? Imagine a thriving hub buzzing with global trade, packed with millions of people, guarded by towering walls. And then, nothing but stone and memory, left to absolute quiet. So how exactly do we even begin to piece a story like that back together?
Well, taking a look at the macro history of our journey here, it starts back in 1336. That's when two brothers, Harihara and Bukka, founded the empire. It quickly grew into a total powerhouse, dominating overseas trade and fertile valleys for over 2 centuries. But then, fast forward to 1565 and tragedy strikes. The city was completely sacked, devastated, and just deserted. For over 200 years, it slowly fell into ruin, living on literally only in the memories of the locals who called the area Humpy. It wasn't until the year 1800 that the site was officially rediscovered.
To really understand how we know what we know today, we have to step into the shoes of engineer and antiquarian Colonel Colin Mackenzie. When he showed up in 1800, he didn't just start digging blindly into the dirt. Instead, he mapped the very first survey of the site by simply listening. He relied heavily on the memories and oral histories preserved by the priests of the local Virupaksha temple and the shrine of the mother goddess Pampadevi. It's a really powerful reminder that, before archaeology even touches the stones, it's often human memory that keeps a lost city alive.
And man, the sheer scale of the physical reality Mackenzie found is astounding. Just look at this part of the fortification wall. These are massive, interlocking stone blocks, and get this, they were built without any mortar, no cement at all. The stones are just wedged together using their own immense weight and incredibly precise cutting. This wasn't just some basic perimeter fence. This was a highly sophisticated, sprawling defense system designed to protect an empire that clearly had a whole lot to lose.
Now, to mentally rebuild these silent stones into a living, breathing city, we can turn to the vivid diaries of foreign travelers. Portuguese traveler Domingo Paes visited in the 16th century, and his words are just stunning. Standing up on a hill, he explicitly compared Vijayanagara directly to the majesty of Rome. He couldn't even see the whole city from one vantage point because it was nestled between multiple mountain ranges. He wrote about beautiful groves of trees, gardens, lakes, and actual conduits of water flowing right through the urban center.
But it wasn't just a scenic paradise. As the Persian chronicler Abdul Razak noted during his visit in the 15th century, it was a heavily fortified stronghold. He documented 7 distinct rings of ramparts protecting the capital. 7! These concentric circles of defense enclosed not just palaces and temples, but vast tracts of agricultural land and forests too. So why all the heavy security? Well, because the wealth hidden inside those walls was practically unimaginable. That level of security makes total sense when you realize this empire was a global economic powerhouse. Warfare back then depended heavily on cavalry, so importing top-tier horses from Arabia and Central Asia was absolutely crucial. Local horse merchants worked alongside Arab traders and eventually the Portuguese to fuel this booming network. But beyond military assets, they were trading highly sought-after spices, fine textiles, and of course, those famous exotic goods, precious stones, pearls, and incredible jewelry.
Paz's account really breathes vibrant life back into these ruins. Take a look at this quote describing their bazaars. He's talking about broad, beautiful streets packed with merchants selling endless diamonds, rubies, and emeralds, literally selling them as casually as someone might sell vegetables at a farmer's market today. Every single evening, there was a fair where people bought Arabian horses right alongside fresh citrons, limes, and grapes. Just try to picture that noise, the smells, the wild collision of everyday farming life mixed with extreme, mind-boggling luxury.
Inside the royal center, the seat of the Reyes.
Moving right along, we leave those chaotic, colorful bazaars behind and enter a highly restricted, monumental area where the rulers, who called themselves Reyes, projected their absolute, unquestionable power.
Right at the political heart of this royal center stood the Mahanavami Dibba. Pais actually called this towering structure the House of Victory.
It's this massive, beautifully sculpted two-tiered platform that acted as an elevated stage for the king. During their spectacular autumn festivals, the Raya would sit way up here in a room made of cloth, presiding over wrestling matches, fireworks, and these massive processions of animals and warriors. It was a brilliant, highly visible flex of the state's incredible resources.
And the architecture here, it wasn't built in a bubble. Structures like the stunning Lotus Mahal show this brilliant blending of cultures. While the Vijayanagara rulers were frequently at war with the neighboring Deccan sultanates, they were also constantly interacting with them and sharing ideas. The Lotus Mahal features these distinctive arches that were clearly inspired by Indo-Islamic techniques. They took these external influences, totally transformed them, and seamlessly wove them into their own royal aesthetic.
Architecture and divine temples, carrying traditions to new heights. To truly grasp the peak of their masonry and their devotion, we have to explore the sacred centers. This is where the architects took existing South Indian traditions and carried them literally and figuratively to new heights.
Their ambition was just unbelievable. On the left side here, you've got a Kalyana Mandapa. It's an incredibly ornate, delicately carved pavilion designed purely to celebrate the symbolic divine weddings of the gods. And then on the right, you see these towering, multi-storied pillared corridors. These massive gateways were explicitly meant to be seen from miles away. They functioned as permanent, awe-inspiring reminders of the king's vast wealth and his ability to command the massive labor force needed to build them.
But honestly, perhaps nothing captures the imagination quite like this exquisite stone chariot in the Vithala temple complex. It really serves as the ultimate physical artifact of the empire's cultural peak. The level of detailed carving on the wheels, the framing, all the decorative elements, it still absolutely astounds archaeologists today. It wasn't just a building, it was this massive, stationary piece of magnificent sculpture meant to house the divine.
As we analyze all this, we always have to contrast the silent, surviving stone we see today with the reality of the living city back in the 1500s. Archaeologists like John M. Fritz point out that we're really only looking at a skeleton. We have to use our imaginations to fill in the vanished wooden columns, the huge overhanging eaves, ceilings decorated with brightly painted plaster, and of course, the vibrant music, the smell of spices, and the bustling daily life that used to fill these completely empty corridors.
So after exploring the dramatic rise, the absolute splendor, and the devastating fall of this magnificent city of victory, it leaves us with one really powerful question. If an empire as large and wealthy as Rome could be reduced to silent stones, waiting centuries to be understood, what will future explorers deduce from the ruins we leave behind? What stories will our cities tell 400 years from now? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the history around you.